From the University of Virginia, Dan Bonner, a name most of you remember. Great game tonight in the MAAC, a conference that is just 7 years young, known for wild and woolly finishes, and of course that automatic bid in the NCAA Tournament. Now, first for Fordham, they've been in this championship game for 3 years, but this is the first time for Nick, so what kind of style might we expect?
Well, Nick McCarchick in his first MAAC championship game is going to try to go inside. His team is a big team. They like to operate inside. They're not quite as quick as the LaSalle Explorers, so they're going to try to operate inside and have a little bit slower tempo game.
Okay, Danny, you talked about LaSalle. Everybody knows you've got to try and stop their main man, Lionel Simmons, the super sophomore, averaging just under 24 points a game. But my big friend here, you think you've got another key.
Tim Legler, a swingman, 6'4" senior, along with Lionel Simmons, was also on the All-MAAC first team. He's an academic All-American. He averages almost 17 points a game. He's a deadly three-point shooter, so you may be able to stop Simmons inside, but then you've got Legler outside to worry about.
Well, for either the Rams or the Explorers, the season will come crashing to a halt in just about 40 minutes. We're just about set to jump it up. Let's check the starting lineups. First for Fordham, Parada, Paterno, O'Sullivan, Pedro, and Taylor in the backcourt. For LaSalle up front, Simmons and Legler. Conlon is the center. Overton and Tarr are the guards. So here we go. Nick McCarchick, in his first year at Fordham, brings his Rams in 18-13. Speedy Morris, again, another 20-victory season. The Explorers 22 up and 9 down. 14-0 in MAAC play.
Fordham starts in a man-to-man. You'll see them switch between man-to-man and a 2-3 zone most of the game.
And the turnover, Fordham.
You notice Pedro pulling the ball back, gets it here to Taylor, and the reason for that is Fordham would like to run as much time off the clock as possible, reduce the game to as few possessions as they can.
LaSalle in that 2-3 zone. Pedro works in the backcourt. Down low to O'Sullivan. Haven't had a shot yet. Finally, Taylor fires. And it's 3.
And that's exactly what Fordham wants to do, run that clock and then get a good shot.
Legler brings it across. Nick McCarchick up off the bench saying all of the Fordham Rams should get their hands up on defense.
2-3 zone now for the Rams.
Overton inside. Turnaround jumper by Simmons. And a quick outlet pass. Taylor brings it down. 3-0. Fordham on top.
The leading scorer for the Fordham Rams is number 35, Joe Paterno. He operates mainly inside. But the big fella, Danny O'Sullivan, is who Fordham wants to go to tonight.
Inside, off it goes in the right wing. Paterno. In and out of the cone. O'Sullivan has it slapped away. Touched last by Tim Legler.
You'll see an awful lot of that from the Fordham Rams. They've got two 6'5" forwards, Parada and O'Sullivan, who you get a look at there. Their game is penetration and going to the basket.
Pedro on the inbound. They look for O'Sullivan down low. Dangerous pass to Pedro. Pedro fires from three-point range and connects. Greg Pedro, a 41% three-point shooter, 49 of 120 on the year, 6-0, both from 19-9 or beyond for the Rams.
Now Fordham's press, they press and then drop back into the 2-3 zone. Their press tonight is not designed to steal the ball as much as it is to slow LaSalle down.
Rich Taylor, his three-pointer was wide, slapped around. O'Sullivan comes out. Did he travel? Larry Lembo says traveling.
His own man ran into them, but that's exactly what Fordham wants to do. They know LaSalle is a good shooting team. LaSalle is going to make some shots, obviously, but they want to limit it to one opportunity.
The Explorers, Danny, 22-9. They're 14-0 in the MAAC, trying to become the first team to go through the regular season and the tournament undefeated. Inside pass, good anticipation. And the easy bucket underneath. So finally, the LaSalle Explorers get on the board. Simmons with 2.
And Simmons, that's how he operates inside. Very effective. He was double-teamed, but he still had the quickness and the strength to get it up on the board.
Taylor works in the backcourt. Explorers staying in that zone. Paterno over on the right flank. Parada underneath to O'Sullivan.
Excellent catch by O'Sullivan. The Explorers were in a 1-3-1 zone that time. Legler had to guard O'Sullivan. He couldn't do it.
Overton almost lost it out of bounds on the left Legler swings it back over to Tarr. Tarr will set it up.
Fordham showed man-to-man once. Otherwise, they've been in the 2-3 zone.
Easy bucket in and out of the cone. Pulled down. Legler battles for it. Has it stolen away by Parada. Pedro. Too hard. Good play underneath. Craig Conlon with a big board. And, of course, Lionel Simmons, the 6'6 sophomore out of South Philadelphia, with that easy bucket. His first field goal tonight, setting the new school record for season scoring.
Breaking the record of one very famous Mr. Tom Gola.
The old record, 750. That was set back in 1955. Nice kiss off the glass by Rich Tarr.
Tarr is an excellent penetrator, and one of the things that Fordham is worried about, even if they can contain Legler and Simmons, Tarr and Conlon and Overton out there are all excellent players capable of scoring in double figures.
Pedro and Taylor working in the backcourt. Speedy Morris up off the bench, trying to get a little defense going. Parada underneath. Danny O'Sullivan slapped away cleanly, says Mickey Crowley, and the LaSalle Explorers trailing by 4. Cross over the timeline. Overton, Philadelphia High School Player of the Year 2 years ago. Simmons gets it back to Overton.
Good job by Parada to play Simmons for the drive.
Fade away by Legler, way off the mark, and Pedro goes sky high to pull it down.
One thing about Fordham, both their guards are about 6'3", Jim, and so they do have a sizable advantage even at the guard spot.
LaSalle beating Fordham in the 2 previous meetings so far this year. 85-80 in the Bronx. Simmons had 27, Legler had 23 in that one. Fordham outscored LaSalle 12-1 down the stretch, but too little too late. Off the mark, Conlon pulls it down.
Boy, and a good block out by Legler. He got his body into O'Sullivan and just moved him out from underneath.
O'Sullivan had 14 points and 11 rebounds. Danny in the second meeting at the Palestra, but LaSalle won handily, 76-51. Fadeaway is no good by Simmons, and the foul.
Foul is against Parada. That shot right there by Simmons is just about what his range is. He's a much better slicer and driver to the basket than he is an outside shooter, and I'm sure Parada would prefer that he not foul him on that play.
Well, we talked about 751 points, the old mark, 750 by Tom Gola back in 55. Simmons is already the 11th all-time scorer in LaSalle history with 1,421 points. There's Tom Gola, great career for the Explorers. Simmons connects to bring the Explorers to within 3. A 6-point lead, cut to 3. We'll take a timeout. In East Rutherford, the championship in the Metro Atlantic Conference, and we've got a dandy going on. LaSalle falling behind to Fordham 8-5 early, a series that goes all the way back to 1953, with the Explorers enjoying a 12-5 advantage over the Rams. Head coach Speedy Morris, as he's known around Manayunk. Head coach, first coach in Division I to make the switch from a head coach of the women's basketball program to the men's basketball program. A remarkable record. 16 years as the head coach at Roman Catholic High School in Philadelphia. Coach Mike Bantam, who of course played on the '72 Olympic team and went on to the NBA 4 times at Roman Catholic. He won over 30 victories, won 7 league championships.
LaSalle stays in basically that 2-3 zone. Bad pass there by O'Sullivan. Simmons picks it off.
And a chance for the Explorers to perhaps tie it up or draw to within 1. Legler to Conlon. It's over to Overton. Cutting through is Simmons. Soft touch is good. He's got 5.
Excellent screen by Conlon. Really leveled Parada inside. And that's where Lionel Simmons is the most dangerous.
Bounce pass. Down goes number 35, Joey Paterno.
That's a shot. If you've got it, you've got to take it, obviously, Jim. But Fordham does not want to get into a track meet or any sort of an up-tempo game at all with the LaSalle Explorers.
Paterno in the backcourt, picked up by Taylor to Conlon.
You get a look there at the 2-3 zone that the Rams are playing. They're going to be very conscious of Simmons wherever he is.
Underneath, nobody there. Pass picked off. Turnover against Tarr.
Tarr went into a lot of hands and arms there, Jim. No place to go.
All red jerseys. Pedro, nice move, nice dish, soft touch. Ah, the setup by Pedro. Nice touch for Parada.
Here's the 2-2-1 press once again by Fordham.
LaSalle moves the ball very quickly. Overton swings it back to Tarr. Tarr gets around Taylor, gets it to Legler. And Tarr will slow it down at the 12:40 mark. 5-point lead.
Legler has not had a shot yet.
Overton denied. Tarr is free for three.
And Tarr is an excellent shooter. The Fordham zone really trying to play Simmons inside and Legler outside, and Tarr looks like he's going to have some opening.
LaSalle back to within 2. Fordham leads it 12-10. Taylor gets it down low. Pedro returns it back out front to Taylor, and LaSalle stays in that zone.
If you watch the Fordham Rams, one thing that they're not is a very good passing basketball team. It's really an effort for them lots of times on offense. Sometimes some wonderful things happen with penetration to the basket.
Sometimes when you least expect it, like Alan Funt. That one by number 21, Greg Pedro.
Fordham certainly seems to be playing rather loose at the moment, Jim. LaSalle came out, looked a little tight to me. I think the pressure really is on LaSalle in this ball game.
Especially tough when you've beaten a team already twice to beat them a third time. Off the iron, no good by Overton. The rebound comes down to Joe Paterno.
And Nick McCartrick and the Fordham staff could not be any more pleased at this point with the job rebounding that the Rams have done so far.
Paterno gives it to Taylor. Looks for Conlon. Back to Pedro. Pedro looks underneath. Taylor's got it. There's Conlon on the baseline. Bad shot. Threw up a brick.
That's not the shot that they want. They need to work the ball a little more patiently and try to get it inside to O'Sullivan.
Quick passing. Simmons has it slapped out of his hands. Touched last by LaSalle, and it goes over to Fordham. 10:54 left to go in the first half. The winner gets an automatic berth in the NCAA Tournament.
It takes a
trailing Fordham by that 4-point margin. 10:54 left to go before halftime. Speedy Morris not very deep, Dan. Stays with the same starting 5. Overton, Tarr, Simmons, Conlon, and Legler.
He actually only uses 2 substitutes, so they really go 7 deep, but they don't use those 2 fellas very much.
And checking in, Fred Herzog, the 6'8 freshman out of Colonial High School. Inside it goes. Herzog with it. Gets it out to Pedro. Pedro can't get around Tarr. Taylor starts into the zone and is denied.
And inside is where Fordham wants to go. Herzog is 6'8". O'Sullivan is 6'10". The tallest player on the court for LaSalle is 6'6".
Paterno over to Pedro. Shot clock reads 13. There's Herzog, baseline right to Pedro. Shot clock inside of 8. Taylor starts his drive. Out it goes to Paterno. Overton's on him. Paterno, shot clock's to 3. Pedro will have to hurry. Did he get it away? Just barely.
And Pedro has made a couple of real nice shots. That one wasn't the amazing thing that he made before, but he's played very well. They needed a big game from one of the guards at least to try to open it up inside. LaSalle is sort of packing back in inside.
7 points for Greg Pedro, the 6'3 senior out of Staten Island, New York. Speedy Morris was up screaming for traveling at Larry Lembo. Overton, dangerous pass to Legler. Returns it to Overton. Over to Tarr on the right side. Tarr for 3. Won't go. Good rebound by Taylor.
Nice job by Mark Taylor, and a good block out by Fred Herzog. Sort of cleared the way for Taylor to get the ball.
6'8", you can block out a lot of things. Overton. Herzog trips over Legler going through.
Now you notice how patient Fordham is trying to be. They're going to look inside and look inside as long as they can to try to get a real good shot.
Taylor quickly over to Paterno. This is for 2. Throws up an air ball.
And Nick McCartrick is up, and he does not like that shot. That's not what they want.
Overton tried to get it into Conlon, and Conlon is bumped down low. The foul call to number 35, Joe Paterno, his first.
Bob Johnson coming in the game now for LaSalle as the first substitute, number 20.
He's the 6'4 sophomore out of South Philadelphia High School.
And Tom Parada back in for Fordham.
There's Johnson with legs like olive oil. Huh? He's on the Nutrisystem plan. Johnson works against Taylor.
Those are some long, skinny legs, that's for sure.
Shot clock says 19. Inside, Simmons. High off the glass, and a great rebound by Pedro. He's doing a great job at both ends.
That's really good defense by O'Sullivan at 6'10" to just get his arms up in the air. Don't try to block the shot, just bother the shot.
They work on O'Sullivan. Danny looks a little tired. Looks a little winded. Herzog. Speedy wanted to travel, didn't get it. Pedro fakes right, goes left against Tarr, and then backs out.
Like many big young kids, O'Sullivan sometimes has a problem with stamina.
You like the call? No foul.
Parada's a good, tough kid. I didn't think that was a foul call.
Up to an 8-point lead, the biggest advantage for the Rams. Here's Legler for three.
That's his first shot of the ball game, and it was in transition, and Fordham was very concerned about the LaSalle transition game.
He's a 48% three-point shooter, and he averages under 17 points a game. He's played almost half of the first half, and Timmy's just getting on track.
He made 92 three-pointers for the regular season. That's an incredible number.
About 40 more than he made from the free throw line. Overton gets a rest. Taylor. Three-pointer by Pedro. Greg Pedro from three-point range again.
Pedro is the best three-point shooter for the Fordham Rams, and that's his second today.
A 41% shooter from three-point range, 49 of 120 coming in for Greg.
Fordham with the press and then drops back into the zone. They're not trying to steal the ball, they're just trying to slow the guards down.
Johnson on a drive. Nice kiss off the glass for an important 2 points. It brings them back to within 6.
Last time these two teams met, Bob Johnson had 14 points off the bench.
Speedy would take that again, wouldn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Pedro, nice move. Parada, fade away, in and out of the cone. A rebound, Johnson. Legler the other way, connected on his last three-pointer. Here's Conlon from 18 feet. Craig Conlon, his first two on the night. He averages just over 10 points a game.
And Fordham's got to constantly be careful that they don't let the pace of the game become too quick.
Pedro slapped away, long arms. Danny O'Sullivan gets it back, and then look at Speedy. Bob Johnson almost came up with that one.
Well, now, I've heard of players diving on the floor after loose balls, but that's the first coach I've seen go down after the ball.
That even brought a smile on the face of Timmy Higgins, one of the referees. A 4-point lead for Fordham. We'll take time out. NCAA Tournament bid to be awarded so far. Already clinching spots: Purdue, Cornell, Southwest Missouri State, North Carolina A&T. As you look at the overall standings in the MAAC Conference, LaSalle 14-0, undefeated, trying to become the first team to go undefeated in the conference and the tournament in drawing this tournament bid. St. Peter's 11-3, 20-9 overall. Other NCAA tournament bids, Dan Bonner. Southern is in, Tennessee at Chattanooga. The Sun Belt Conference, you saw that game, an 80-79 thriller for UNC Charlotte. And the Colonial Champ also to be decided tonight. From outside, no good, and the rebound pulled down by Simmons.
O'Sullivan has taken a seat on the bench to get a rest, and now Herzog, number 23, is playing the inside. That was a good shot. He just didn't get it to go down.
Mismatch. Simmons works on Parada.
Man-to-man for Fordham.
Legler has it stolen away, and almost the tackle by Quattlebaum. For three, let's see when the whistle blew. Now, I thought the whistle blew before the shot, Dan Bonner. Timmy Higgins is saying 3 points will count.
Nick McCarchuk is asking the same question. The foul is going to be against Fred Quattlebaum. Legler getting open. You can see Simmons sets a screen right there. Quattlebaum tries to push his way through, and you need to fight over a screen. But that's not exactly the way you should do it with the referee standing right there looking at you.
LaSalle can take their only lead of the night.
And Johnson's come off the bench to score 4 points. A nice little twisting finger roll up there.
22-21 LaSalle at the 5-minute mark. They've come back from an 8-point deficit.
LaSalle has really been able to increase the tempo of the game with this press. And their zone defense has forced Fordham into some outside shooting. Fordham really hasn't had that many inside opportunities.
Taylor with Simmons on him. Shot clock reads 17. Back to Taylor. 6'8" freshman. Herzog gets it back. Taylor rolls around the rim, and Simmons yet another rebound.
Pretty good defense by LaSalle. Fordham wants to go inside, and LaSalle has prevented them from doing that with a couple exceptions.
Pretty good poise by the Explorers, trailing by 8. Tarr for 3. Rich Tarr, he hit 54 of 137 from 19-9 or beyond. He's got 8 points, the communications major out of Shamokin, Pennsylvania.
That's a good play by Parada. He may have had a lane to the basket, but he certainly doesn't want to get involved in an up-tempo game. And so they bring it back out.
Speedy at the top of your screen. Going to need some hairspray.
Well, he's going to need some knee pads if he pulls any more stunts like he did just before that last time out.
Big run by the Explorers of LaSalle. They were down by 8. They lead by 4. Nice touch by Herzog, the freshman.
And that's a good aggressive move by Herzog. The Explorer defense playing him very soft, not expecting that spin move and drive to the basket.
They'll need some valuable minutes by Fred Herzog. He averages 4.7. He's got 4 so far tonight. Season high is 12. Simmons sees Conlon open. Back to Legler. Timmy looks, baseline right. Simmons wants it. Fade away from 14. Bad shot. Parada comes out of traffic.
And Fordham's got to be scratching their heads, Jim, wondering what they have to do. They've held Simmons down very well. They've held Legler down very well, and they're still behind by 2 points.
Taylor gets it over. Pedro to Herzog.
That's good defense over there by Johnson. Very aggressive on the ball.
Timmy Higgins and Speedy Morris having a discussion over on the sideline, top left of your screen.
Defense for LaSalle is now a 1-3-1. Bad pass there that Paterno can't handle.
Bordelbaum through the pass. Simmons is free at the paint. You can't let him get free from the free throw line.
In that transition game, when there's nobody there to help out, Simmons is very, very effective, and that's one of the reasons why Fordham is trying to prevent the transition.
Biggest LaSalle lead up to 4. 2:15 left to go in the first half. Bordelbaum looks underneath again. Danny O'Sullivan on the bench. And we pointed out, Dan Bonner, he looked a little tired, and I think that Nick Macharchik agreed.
Well, there hasn't been a dead ball in a while. O'Sullivan has been sitting at the scorer's table for a couple of minutes now trying to get back in the game.
No team fouls against LaSalle, 3 against Fordham, so nobody's near 1-on-1 situation. Bordelbaum with 4 on the shot clock. Tipped up once. Great extra effort by Paterno.
If the Fordham guards are going to penetrate, they draw the defense to him and they take away some block-out help, and that's exactly what happens there.
Tarr with an inside move against Herzog, and the foul called on the paint. Herzog with a foul.
Tarr is asking for a good basket, but that was a foul clearly before he shot the ball. Good quick move by Tarr. Once again, LaSalle trying to push it up. Tarr penetrating in transition.
Very fast first half. LaSalle trailed by 8. Now they lead by 2. 1:40 to go before halftime.
Simmons, you can see, surrounded by Fordham Rams, number 22, Lionel Simmons, actually takes a shot that's out of his range. Good defense by Paterno, and then the Rams are all over the board, and that is precisely what Fordham's game plan defensively is designed to do, and they've done it pretty well. But Fordham has been able to get out in LaSalle has been able to get out in transition a couple of times. Bob Johnson with 4 points coming off the bench. Rich Tarr with a couple of 3-pointers have really helped the Explorer cause.
100 seconds till Bob Lee will have scores and highlights from around the nation. And of course, we'll check in on the Sun Belt and the Colonial Conference Championships. You saw UNC Charlotte, that big 80-79 win. They get one of 9 NCAA tournament berths already decided. Backcourt foul called by Larry Lembo.
It's an over and back violation, Jim. Tarr touched the ball in the front court, and so when it went into the backcourt, it was an over and back call.
2-point lead for LaSalle, but the ball in the possession of the Rams of Fordham.
And LaSalle is doing a very good job disguising the zone defense. They set up as 2-3, and then after a pass or two, it looks like they're in a 1-3-1, and here's another violation.
Mike Rice couldn't stop it from going over the back line. The 6'3" freshman out of Boardman High School in Youngstown, Ohio. So the Explorers get it back with 1:22 left to go. Tarr works against Rice.
Would you call that back-to-back, over and back?
Back-to-back, over and back.
2-3 zones for Fordham.
Johnson tries to penetrate. Simmons with a board to Tarr. Wants the baseline. Starts his drive. Goes around O'Sullivan. Dishes to Conlon. Nick Macharchik is up, and he looks like a windmill. Said, where was the traveling call?
Fordham's done a pretty good job keeping LaSalle off the offensive boards. They didn't that time, and it cost them.
O'Sullivan with nobody around him. Out to Rice.
Notice O'Sullivan not turning to attack. Fordham must keep the tempo slow.
Rice dishes inside. Parada has it slapped away by Conlon.
Good defense by Bob Johnson. He forced Parada to change the shot, and Johnson's played a very good first half off the bench for LaSalle.
Speedy says wait for the last shot. Tarr starts to penetrate. Legler. Paterno's on him. A battle of 35. Over it goes to Johnson. Pedro picks him up.
Man-to-man for Fordham.
Legler starts the penetration. Shot clock winding down. Timmy with a move to the paint. Penetrates. Bad shot. Conlon has it go out of bounds to Fordham. And that'll do it. An 8-point lead for the Rams of Fordham. Sliced away. And LaSalle, who's beaten the Rams twice so far this year, takes a 4-point lead at halftime. 29-25. Don't forget, we've got scores and highlights coming up. So let's go back to the studio now and rejoin our host, Robert Lee.
Thank you, Jim.
LaSalle likewise, so they're dead even there. But from 3-point range, LaSalle's hit 4 of 5. The Rams have hit 3 out of 4. Free throws, that's an amazing graphic.
And particularly since Fordham's game plan was to go inside, that means they haven't done it very well.
The rebounds just about dead even, and the scoring leaders, there's a surprise.
You would not expect either one of those gentlemen to be the leading scorers at halftime. Fordham's top 3 scorers are their inside guys. Paterno and O'Sullivan and Tom Parada. But Pedro's the leading scorer at halftime, and for Ralph Tarr, he's only the 3rd leading scorer on the team after Simmons and Legler.
And for Fordham, Parada with 4, Paterno with 4, Danny O'Sullivan just 2, Greg Pedro with 10, leading scorer in the game, Mark Taylor with a total of 3, Fred Herzog with 2. Meanwhile, for LaSalle, Simmons has 7, Legler 6, Conlon 4, Tarr 8, and Bob Johnson some valuable minutes off the bench with 4.
We talked at halftime about what a good job LaSalle had done keeping the ball out of the inside, and Simmons starts the second half the same way, knocking the ball away from O'Sullivan.
Down low, it goes back out to Tarr for 3. Rich Tarr, 11 points on the night, 54 of 137 from 3-point range, just about 40%. He played his high school ball at Shamokin High School in Shamokin, PA for Bob Probert.
Mark Taylor had to drop down inside to help out against Simmons, and Tarr made him pay for it.
Danny O'Sullivan with the knee brace on the right leg. Dishes off. Paterno starts his penetration, and the foul is called.
LaSalle has started the second half in a man-to-man defense, and I don't know that Fordham has been patient enough yet to recognize that they're playing man-to-man.
18:58 before LaSalle commits their first foul. Conlon picks it up.
18:58 of the second half.
That's right.
On the underneath out-of-bounds play, LaSalle now goes back to the 2-3 zone.
Which they did a great job in the first half of disguising.
It has been an excellent zone defense. They've been very active, and they've defended the inside very, very well.
Pedro dishes off to Parada, quickly gets it back over. Pedro, leading scorer with 10 for the Rams. Underneath, O'Sullivan, he's got 4.
Nice pass inside. And that's what Fordham has been trying to do the entire game, and I'm sure they talked about it at halftime.
And the accounting major will have to add up some more points, Danny O'Sullivan, if the Rams are going to pull out this game. Nicely done by Doug Overton, the 6'2 freshman out of Dobbins Tech. His first 2 points after being shut out in the first half.
And once again, Rich Tarr, the key to that play, penetrates inside, draws the defense, and makes the good pass.
7-point lead for LaSalle. 18 minutes away from a tournament spot. Can the Rams come back. Pedro looks for O'Sullivan. Denied nicely by Simmons.
In the man-to-man defense, they really have to try to work to get it to O'Sullivan. He's got such a height advantage against Simmons.
And Mickey Crowley's got a whistle in the paint against LaSalle. They're second now in the first 2 minutes to start the second half.
And interestingly enough, Jim, both the fouls have come with LaSalle in the man-to-man defense, which they did not play at all in the first half.
Greg Conlon picks up his second very quickly. Pedro will inbound. Looks for Parada. Off it goes to Taylor. Again, that 2-3 zone. And they're really giving him the three-point shot. Underneath, Parada rejected by Simmons. Pedro gets it back. And the rebound pulled down by Legler. Quickly to Overton. Wants to fly. Looks for Simmons.
Simmons, in addition to being the leading scorer and rebounder in the MAAC, is also the leading shot blocker.
Tarr for 3. Wanted 4. He was fouled. No call. Saw that one from his backside.
He is really having himself a game tonight.
Biggest lead for either team, up to 10 points. Parada has it stolen away. Tarr with a breakaway. 15, make it 16 points for the 6-foot sophomore, or senior rather, Rich Tarr. Up to a 12-point lead for LaSalle. There's the time left.
Time was doing a better job getting the ball inside. The first 2 possessions of the second half, the first one right here, Lionel Simmons does an excellent job keeping it away from O'Sullivan. The second possession for Fordham of the second half, Pedro makes a very good pass inside to O'Sullivan. So the first is exactly what Nick McCarchak does not want. The second is exactly what he does want.
And he's got some problems as you check second half field goals, Danny. 1 for 3 for the Rams. Meanwhile, the Explorers have been perfect. You go back to when that 8-point lead dissipated for Fordham. LaSalle went on a 16-4 spurt to end the first half. Starting the second stanza now, they've outscored Fordham 10-2, so that's 26-6 scoring margin over the last 8 minutes of basketball. Last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 3 minutes of the second.
And the scary thing for Fordham is Simmons and Legler have basically been held down.
O'Sullivan, shot was short. Parada against Simmons. Legler with intimidation. O'Sullivan pulls it down, goes up against Conlon. Timmy Higgins and Mickey Crowley have a bit of a conclave to see who the foul is against.
The foul is going to be against Rich Tarr, it appears, for reaching in and grabbing.
That's the first on Tarr, the third so far against LaSalle. Only the third against LaSalle for the entire game. How's that for anticipation? Overton.
And right there, I think, was a pretty good illustration of the superior athletic ability possessed by the LaSalle Explorers. Taylor and Overton started out even for that ball, but Overton just blew by Taylor to get the basket.
Showed you some moves and why he was the Philadelphia High School Player of the Year in '86-'87. Pedro for 3. And Greg Pedro, the 6'3 senior out of St. Peter's Academy, has his 13th point.
There is still plenty of time left in the game for the Fordham Rams. They do not have to abandon their game plan yet. That was a big shot, however, by Pedro.
11 looks a lot closer than 14 down, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Overton looks underneath. Legler cuts through. So does Conlon. Simmons to Conlon, the open man. Nice pass.
Legler cut through. The zone followed him through. Then the zone reacted to cover Simmons. So in their anxiousness to cover Simmons and Legler, they left Conlon all alone.
Pedro, as Legler quickly picks him up. Taylor swings it over to Paterno. Paterno moves on Overton. Bounce pass to Pedro. Another three-pointer for Greg Pedro, the pre-med student out of Staten Island, New York. He's got 16.
And he's been the offense for the Fordham Rams. And he's going to be the defense right there as Overton steps on the end line, or excuse me, the sideline under some good pressure from Pedro.
Nick Macharchik, 18 and 13, his first year at Fordham.
Sal now out of that man-to-man and in a 1-3-1 zone. Number 11, Overton, is going to play along the baseline.
Paterno started his move inside against Legler. Legler called for the foul. Let's go back and talk about Nick Macharchik a second. 18 wins his first year, new players. What an adjustment he had to make, and what an adjustment the team had to make as well.
It's always difficult for a coach coming into a situation. It usually takes a while for the coach and the players to interact with one another and develop that blend or chemistry, if you will. So you really have to be very impressed with the job that he's done in his first year.
Well, he had 10 great years at Canisius up in Buffalo, won 167 games up there. His two oldest sons, Nick and Chris, both played basketball up there in Buffalo.
2-3 zone now on the out-of-bounds play for LaSalle. They've done a nice job switching the defenses here in the second half.
Parada had the shot, gives it up to Paterno. They swing it to the right side. Guess who? Pedro again. He's putting on a clinic from three-point range. He's got 19.
That's the shot that LaSalle is giving up. They're doing an excellent job defending the inside. We'll have to see if they're going to make some adjustments.
They better do it quick because Greg Pedro has half of the points for Fordham. His season high 24 against Army. Overton. Bounce pass down low to Simmons, denied, and big Parada comes up with it.
Excellent defense by Parada. Simmons had a step on him, but Parada reached around, knocked the ball away.
New life for the Rams, and Nick Macharchik up off the bench saying, calm down, we'll get back in it, just keep pecking away a little bit. Nick was on the sideline for one of the great coaches in Providence history, Dave Gavitt, the Big East commissioner now. Nick did a lot of the recruiting at Providence. 5 years. Pedro. Yes, from the corner. Joe Paterno had 4 in the first half. The 6'5" junior's got 6 on the evening, and it's now a 5-point lead.
And he scores almost 18 points a game against MAAC opposition, and Speedy Morris obviously wants to talk about this.
Look at the bench on the Fordham Rams. The Fams get into it. 13:20 left to go.
Had a game plan that involved going inside, but LaSalle has cut it off so well that his main man has been Greg Pedro, number 21, drilling another three-pointer. He's got 19 on the game.
Hey, Danny, he's 5 for 5 from three-point range. Number 21, the 6'3" senior out of St. Peter's Academy. You look into the heart of the huddle there for the Fordham Rams. Pedro's father, by the way, his dad, Hank, started Wagner, you might recall. He was a 1,000-point standout for the Seahawks.
Greg Pedro has certainly been the hero so far tonight for the Fordham Rams.
Well, he had those 2 big free throws, you recall, and the 3-point shot down at crunch time against North Carolina to send that game into overtime. He'll be the main man, and of course they'd like to get Danny O'Sullivan on track too. Tarr from way outside. Rich Tarr, another three-pointer.
And Tarr's been answering shot for shot. That's now 5 three-pointers for Tarr.
He's got 19 on the night. He needs 23 points to become LaSalle's 30th career 1,000-point scorer. He only needs 4 more. Should hit it tonight. O'Sullivan looks down low. Paterno cutting through. Parada in the paint, and a foul. Blocking foul. Called on Simmons.
Speedy Morris for LaSalle is one of those coaches, Jim, who really likes to change defenses with every timeout. They were playing zone after the timeout. They switched back to the man-to-man. Fordham recognized very well, got the ball inside the Parada.
The man you're looking at, Speedy Morris, in his coaching career, 16 years at Roman Catholic, 2 at William Penn Charter School, 4 at LaSalle, has failed to win 20 games only once. That was his very first team at William Penn, and that team, Dan, won 19 games.
That's a pretty impressive record.
5 points, make it 6 for Tommy Parada. 6-point lead. 12.5 left to go.
Man-to-man once again for the Rams, and Parada is doing a great job against Simmons.
Simmons puts it around the cone, and it drops on through. Now keep in mind, that's his 9th point, and Lionel averages just under 24 points a game.
As we said, that's got to scare you if you're Fordham. He's only got 9. Legler's only got 8. And you're still down in this ball game by 8 points.
How good is Simmons? He had 37 against North Carolina. Still holds the Dean Dome record. That shot off the iron. First one missed from three-point range by Pedro. Taylor looks. Paterno cuts through. Parada dishes it back to Taylor.
The LaSalle switch to the man-to-man defense will make it easier for the Explorers to guard Pedro outside. But it makes the inside more vulnerable.
21 on the night for number 21, Greg Pedro.
And that's amazing. He's got exactly 50% of their points, Jim.
Simmons backs in. Parada called for the foul. Tom did not think he got very much of Mr. Lionel.
Parada at 6'5". Simmons is 6'6". Parada is rarely going to block his shot. We saw a play in the first half where O'Sullivan, the big center for the Fordham Rams, simply put his hands up, forced a difficult shot by Simmons, and that's really what Parada needs to do.
Second foul on Parada. First one is good by Simmons, who's a 76% free throw shooter, his 10th point on the night.
He operates so effectively inside, he gets a lot of free throws, so Parada has to be careful and not fouling.
The 11th point for Lionel Simmons, who scored in double figures 49 straight games for LaSalle and 62 of 65 in his collegiate career.
Jim, he's attempted 239 free throws this year. Pedro missing the three-pointer, then going after the rebound, commits the foul.
That's just frustration.
Absolutely. Pedro has cooled off. He was 5 for 5 from the three-point range. This is his second miss from three-point range. You see, he just crashes in, really decks Overton. Overton is now up, however. He wasn't seriously hurt.
11:10 left to go.
And now we get a walking violation against Legler. It was a spot violation. That is, the ball was out of bounds nearest to the spot where the foul occurred. So he was not permitted to run the baseline, but he did. And that can be pretty confusing. Most of the time when you have the ball out of bounds underneath the opposition basket, it's after they've made a basket and you can run.
And the inbounds from Pedro to Parada behind the screen. But Parada, Pedro looks to the baseline, now pushes up a three-pointer. 6 out of 8 from three-point range for Greg Pedro. 24 on the night. That equals his season high. He had 24 earlier this year against Army. Five-point lead. Simmons in the paint over Parada. Nice cut. Soft arching shot for the MAAC Player of the Year.
If Fordham is going to play man-to-man, Simmons is going to get on track here, as he obviously is starting to do.
Paterno. Left side. Pedro. He's been hot from the left side. 2 shots he's missed over on the right. O'Sullivan free in the paint. Over Simmons. Nicely done. 6 points for O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan did a nice job, Jim, collecting himself to make sure that he extended his arm till its full length because Simmons couldn't get it.
Danny O'Sullivan has been the Fordham Rams' leading scorer or rebounder 7 of his last 11 games. Conlon comes right back. So back-to-back baskets by number 42 and number 42. 8 points for Conlon.
And those Salle Explorers are certainly showing us tonight that they're more than just Lionel Simmons, or more than Lionel Simmons and Tim Legler. Tarr and Conlon both have had fine offensive games.
O'Sullivan way outside. Simmons will give him the shot.
Up talking to Fred Herzog, who's waiting at the scorer's table to come in the game.
Pedro penetrates, flips it up. O'Sullivan over the back. Legler.
Tough shot by Pedro, but with O'Sullivan being inside and working very well for position. Now, what happens when a man penetrates to the basket is the defense has to come to help. So you see there's nobody there to block out O'Sullivan, and at 6'10", the ball comes right to him. Legler gets the foul over the back.
So number 23, Fred Herzog, the 6'8" freshman out of Colonia High School, checks in. And also checking in now is number 20, Bob Johnson, the 6th man, the 6'4" sophomore out of South Philadelphia High School for Speedy Morris. 7-point lead for LaSalle. 9 minutes left to go. O'Sullivan, Pedro, Taylor, Herzog, Parada in there now for Fordham. Simmons, Conlon, Johnson, Overton, and Tarr in there for Speedy Morris and LaSalle.
Now, one reason why it's difficult for Fordham to get the ball inside is, boy, that's a long and a bad shot.
Taylor was saying that Tarr touched the ball. Larry Lembo's not buying it.
One of the reasons they're having such a difficult time getting the ball inside, Jim, is that the only person operating inside is O'Sullivan. The rest of the Fordham Rams are standing around the perimeter, and if there's only one guy inside, you can guard him in the zone.
Simmons and Conlon have been doing a good job on O'Sullivan down low. Simmons wants it, takes it to the hoop. Gets his own rebound, and O'Sullivan gets Simmons.
Simmons really showed you some ability right there. He drives to the basket, and he beats Herzog to the baseline. But then once he shoots the shot, really shows some athletic ability, being able to get up and get the ball. Good pump fake. Now he's down on the ground. Everybody's going up with him, but at 6'6", he out-jumps everybody, then gets the foul call. We've mentioned that he has 239 free throw attempts. The next closest guy on the team is Legler, who has 69.
Lionel was 7 points in the first half. You saw that graphic. It's almost automatic, Danny. He hit 18 of 18 against American earlier this year, and at one point set the school record at LaSalle, 27 consecutive free throws.
And lots of times you've got big guys who operate very well inside, who get fouled a lot and don't make many of their free throws. So if you got a big guy who's going to convert him, he becomes a much, much better weapon.
15 on the night for Simmons. 8:10 left to go. LaSalle leads at 56-47. Pedro down low. Herzog goes around Conlon. Forced out by Conlon, and it goes over to the Rams.
That was a break for the Explorers. They switched defenses once again from the zone to the man-to-man, and Herzog had Conlon beat along the baseline, but Conlon stuck the hand in there and knocked the ball away.
Boy, Overton is so pesky. Great anticipation. Pedro.
2-3 zone again on the out-of-bounds play.
Herzog down low to Parada. Back to Herzog. Looking for Pedro to free him up.
Now, you see, there's nobody inside. Now Parada's going to flash in there.
Pedro for three. Parada. And it goes out of bounds to the Rams. 7:45 left to go. 56-47 our score. Speedy Morris just that much away from an NCAA tournament bid. Wednesday, the quarterfinals, Fairfield and St. Peter's. Fairfield trailing 59-58. They're about to inbounds the ball. Fairfield in red. Watch number 50, Harold Brantley gets free down low with 2 seconds left. 60-59 Fairfield. But the head coach, Mitch Bonaguro, goes out of the box and celebrates prematurely, and he's slapped with a technical foul. What happens? Willie Haynes goes to the line for St. Peter's. He sinks 2 free throws, and St. Peter's with a lead, 61-60. And after an intentional foul, St. Peter's, Danny, goes on to win it 63-60.
That is really some way to lose a basketball game. I'm sure that's a game that Mitch Bonaguro is never going to forget.
7:45 left to go here in East Rutherford. LaSalle 56-47, nursing that 9-point lead.
And when you get in a basketball game like this, if you're the LaSalle Explorers, you've got that big gun that you can go to time and time again in Lionel Simmons. So it's going to be hard for Fordham to come back in the ball game.
Oh, beautiful inbounds pass by number 21, Greg Pedro. Herzog was free, and rather than give up the easy layup, foul is called on Conlon. That's his 4th. Keep in mind, there were no fouls against LaSalle in the first half, so Conlon getting in some foul trouble.
Herzog did a nice job moving. It was a well-designed out-of-bounds play by the Fordham Rams.
Herzog, a 73% free throw shooter, 2 points in the first half. Season high, 12 rebounds against Holy Cross. He had 14 points and 9 rebounds against St. Peter's and St. John's. 6'8" freshman. Second one rolls off the iron, and the rebound is pulled down by Lionel Simmons.
Now the Fordham Rams really are going to have to dig in here on defense. They're playing man-to-man. I think Herzog is probably overmatched against Simmons, but he's got to do the best he can.
Tarr lets Taylor go by, and Tarr connects.
And Mark Taylor just turned around and gave a look of disbelief to Rich Tarr. That's really a tough shot.
Tarr, 22 points, double his season average.
down the three-pointer again.
A clinic for Greg Pedro.
And that was a tough shot, too.
Rich Tarr and Greg Pedro showing some outside shooting tonight. Overton takes it inside. Last year played his high school ball at Dobbins Tech. Steps right in. Is a good player for Speedy Morris, and Lionel Simmons with a soft 8-footer.
Simmons just takes the ball to the same spot, gives that pump fake, and sticks the jumper.
You don't think Speedy's getting serious now. The jacket's come off, the tie has come off, the shirt collar's loose. He's down on his knees.
Well, this is sort of family programming here. I hope he doesn't get too much more serious.
Oh, nice pass by Pedro on the drive. Paterno down, slapped away by Simmons.
And it'll be an offensive foul against Paterno. Pretty good defense inside. Paterno gets the penetration, but you see here he's got to put his head down. There's 4 white shirts around him. Conlon doing an excellent job establishing his position and drawing the foul.
Tim Legler, 35, the 6'4 senior out of Richmond, checks in. Johnson gets a rest. 6:15 left to go. 10-point lead for LaSalle. Interesting in talking to the Fordham coaches before the game, Danny, they were concentrating more on what their team could do in a positive way than what they had to do to shut down LaSalle. What a spin move by Lionel Simmons.
Well, they've held Simmons down so long in the game, Jim. You just figure he's going to get hot. Tarr carried him while Simmons was working his way out of some trouble that Fordham was causing, but now Simmons has taken over.
Nice lead pass. O'Sullivan has it roll off his shoulder, and Timmy Legler just into the game comes up with it. Another empty trip.
Tarr actually dropped back inside to help out, was covering up in there. The ball went off his head. Good defense by Tarr.
Simmons heating up, shifts it from his left hand to his right, pushes it off the rim, and quickly Fordham pushes it back up. 5:20 to go.
And LaSalle's just going to Simmons every time down now.
Out of bounds. A mental mistake by Paterno.
Paterno was coming off a double screen inside. He was getting ready to turn and shoot the basketball, and he just didn't concentrate on catching it.
Fred Herzog sits down. Tom Parada checks in. Again, the 6'5 senior. So Nick McCutcheon going with Parada, Danny O'Sullivan, Paterno, Taylor, and of course, Greg Pedro.
Mike Rice is up ready to come in the game for Fordham. We may see Fordham go with a 3-guard lineup to try to exert some pressure.
McCutcheon is about to get slapped with a technical if he doesn't sit down. Larry Lembo gave him that icy stare. There's another foul called on Paterno.
Well, you don't want to foul Legler. Of course, Fordham's only got 4 team fouls. That'll be team foul number 5.
The Rams of Fordham with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. There's their first-year coach, 10 years at Canisius. A great job up at Buffalo. And an outstanding first year here, 18 and 13. Trying for the Rams' first tournament bid since 1971. You remember who the coach was at Fordham back then?
Digger Phelps.
Absolutely. Tarr gets free, and Rice is called for the foul.
And I know that because in 1971, I was a senior in high school, and Fordham was one of the places where I was considering attending.
There's a good look at Digger. Did he try to recruit you?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was crazy, but he's had much better luck with his recruiting since then.
Fordham Rams have been to the finals in the MAAC conference 3 times, but all of those times has been against Iona. Legler for 3.
Good ball movement, and here's the other guy. That's now 9 for Legler.
If Don Meredith were here, he'd be singing. 4:20 to go. LaSalle 66, Fordham 51. A 15-point deficit for the Rams. How do you play catch-up now?
Well, for Fordham, it's awfully difficult because you're not quick enough to go out and press LaSalle.
O'Sullivan had the shot from the line, did not take it. Paterno brings it to the paint, looks for O'Sullivan, can't get it inside. They can't waste too much time.
No, they really can't, but I still think that it would be a good idea to try to get the ball inside and create some 3-point opportunities. Pedro
with a left-right move, and Simmons draws the foul, and Greg Pedro, who single-handedly has been carrying the Rams tonight, will step up to the strike. The 6th 6'3" senior out of St. Peter's Academy in Staten Island.
The other thing that you can accomplish with penetration inside, as Pedro just did, is that you can get fouled, and therefore you can score with the clock stopped.
That three-point field goal percentage, 70% from 19-9 and beyond, a tournament record. Pedro only a 59% free throw shooter, but he's just collected his 28 points, 4 beyond his season best 24 against Army. 66-52, a 14-point deficit, 3:53 left.
I don't know.
And his Explorers of LaSalle have won 14 straight, and they're just less than 4 minutes away from their 15th in a row. Head coach at Loyola of California, none other than Paul Westhead, former head coach of the L.A. Lakers, of course. And you'll see Paul Westhead and the Loyola in action against the Santa Clara Broncos. That's game coming up at 11:30 Eastern time tonight. And Paul Westhead, of course.
He coached at LaSalle, and he's got a son, Paul Westhead, a sophomore guard for the Fordham Rams. I guess that's it's a small world feature for tonight.
Tarr brings it down in double trouble. Back out it goes to Legler, who'll slow it down. O'Sullivan bumps Tarr, no call.
That was Pedro that he didn't bump him. Pedro leveled him. The Rams trying to exert some pressure, and LaSalle, they don't have to be in any hurry. They can afford to milk a lot of time off that clock. But don't be surprised if when the clock runs down, the ball ends up in the hands of Simmons.
Pedro called for the foul over the back of Doug Overton. Well, we talk about that 14-game winning streak for Speedy Morris and LaSalle. Their last loss, the 19th of January, when they were beaten by St. Joseph's. A victory tonight will equal the longest in school history. That's back in 68-69. At the line is Overton, an 82% free throw shooter. And he'll shoot the 1-and-1.
I don't think Pedro was trying to foul Overton. Overton just did a nice job of getting in front of Pedro and drawing the foul.
Big lead for LaSalle, up to a 15-point margin, 3:19 left to go. 6 points for Overton. And LaSalle, that much time left away from an NCAA tournament bid. And the foul is inside. Frustration fouls now. Speedy Morris calling Tarr back over to the bench. Rich Tarr, 8 points in the first half.
And what Speedy Morris is telling Tarr is the last thing LaSalle wants to do right now is to foul. If Fordham is going to score, you want to keep that clock running.
And Mark Taylor, a good look into his eyes, the 6'3" senior playing his final game for Fordham out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. He lettered 3 years in soccer at St. Joseph's High School, and his dad was a basketball star at Seton Hall. His uncle was a basketball star at Holy Cross, so athletic family.
Some pretty good bloodlines, I'd say.
Point number 5 for the business administration major. 13-point lead for the LaSalle Explorers.
Now, earlier in the game, Fordham was pressing to try to slow LaSalle down. Fordham is pressing now to try to get some turnovers. LaSalle will just be very patient.
They'll work on the clock as it hits 2:45. They've got a 13-point lead. Parada against Simmons. Shot clock down to 11.
Doing a nice job keeping out of double team area.
Legler starts his move to the paint, takes it from the stripe, rolls around, fresh 45. Parada pulls it down. Taylor pushes it up, 2:26 to go. Pedro, nice move, goes right around Legler, and Pedro throws one high off the iron, and coming down with it is Overton.
Pedro tries too many more of those, he's going to lose his three-point percentage record. Overton. He's not very concerned about that.
Overton is down. He's okay. Timmy Higgins with the call with 2:07 left to go.
Overton must wonder what's going on. He's had a lot of people run over him today. Pedro trying to come from behind, slaps at the ball there, doesn't get the steal. Then you can see Parada steps in and trips him. Overton goes down hard. There's Doug Overton. Made 2 free throws a short time ago.
6 points on the night.
The Salle Explorers in backcourt doing a little bit of celebrating right now. They've got this one in the bag.
2:07 left to go, and there is Lionel Simmons. Speedy Morris just 127 seconds away from an NCAA tournament bid, and yet another 20 victory season. 22-9 coming in for Speedy. 14-0 in the MAAC. They'll win the MAAC Conference Championship in the tournament. Larry Lembo's got the foul. Earlier tonight, the award ceremony. Derek Canada out of Army, the MAAC Rookie of the Year, the 6'2" guard out of East Orange, New Jersey, averaging less than 14 points a game. Lionel Simmons, the MAAC Player of the Year out of LaSalle, first time a sophomore has ever won the award. 6'6" forward out of Philadelphia. And Mr. Jack Powers, past president for 20 years, the executive administrator and the athletic director at Manhattan. He'll go on and become the executive director of the NIT Tournament. And, of course, Speedy Morris. There he is, the Coach of the Year, and deservedly so. In '85, he led the LaSalle Lady Explorers to a 22-8 season. Three-point range again by guess who? Number 21, Greg Pedro. In '86, Speedy led the Lady LaSalle Explorers to a 21-9 record and the MAAC championship. And in '87, he became the first head coach to move from Division I in the ladies to Division I in the men, back-to-back 20 victory seasons again. Last year, 20-13 and finalist in the NIT. This year, 23-9. And, of course, the MAAC champions and an NCAA tournament bid. How's that for a career?
That's really a heck of a record right there, and obviously that's doing it on all levels.
And a great first year for Nick Macharchuk at Fordham. Despite this loss and 3 losses on the year with the Salle Explorers, they'll finish up with a record of 18-14.
I think somebody needs to get Nick Macharchuk.
Let's go after it and trap it as many times as we can. They're not going to look to shoot. They're trying to run the box. Let's gamble and make traps. Right on.
Nick Macharchuk graduated from Fairfield in '63, still in their top 10 scoring and rebounding list. And Speedy Morris, he'll go on to the NCAA tournament.
Somebody needs to get Nick a pad that he can draw so he doesn't have to write on the floor over there.
1:47 left to go. Bob Lee's in the studio. Sports Center coming up, and another basketball game at 11:30 Eastern Time. Paul Westhead and Loyola with that 23-game winning streak on the line.
Well, the Fordham press forces a turnover. Overton stumbled, got a walking violation. But I'm afraid trailing by 14 points with only 1 minute and 44 seconds left. It's all academic right now.
Coming up at the conclusion of this game, we'll hear from Speedy Morris, get his thoughts and emotions, and Bob Lee will have all the scores and basketball news from around the country, then Sports Center, and of course, we've got a third basketball game. Way outside, Taylor for 3. 72-61, 11 points. Can they do it?
I really don't think they can do it. Legler's going to get a timeout here. Realizes that he's being pressured in the backcourt. There was 37 seconds left on the 45-second shot clock, so he had only 2 seconds. A good job to call the timeout.
81 seconds to go, an 11-point lead for the Explorers of LaSalle. Let's take timeout. And Dan Bonner, our score and our time left. And if this lead holds up for LaSalle, the Explorers would be only the 4th school to win the MAAC championship. Here are the previous winners. Iona in '82, Fordham won it in '83 for the Rams. Iona back-to-back in '84 and '85, and Fairfield in '86, '87. Interesting, too, Danny, you go back to the last 2 victories by the last 2 most valuable players did not come from the winning team.
Well, I don't think we're going to have that today. I believe that the most valuable player of this tournament is going to be Lionel Simmons.
Rich Tarr might give serious consideration as far as the most valuable player of this game. He's had a terrific night. Double his season average. He needed 23 points, Rich did, to become LaSalle's 30th career 1,000-point scorer. He just iced it right there. The 6-foot senior out of Shamokin High School. Taylor from a different area code.
And one of the successful things that LaSalle has done today, even though Fordham has shot the three-pointer very well, they're not used to shooting the three-pointer. Simmons gets the dunk there, and so the fact that they have to shoot the three-pointer simply means that Fordham's been forced out of the game plan.
Paterno at the other end. We've got some long-range artillery shooters coming out now. 45 seconds left to go. 76-64 is our score. And don't forget, Bob Lee, basketball news from around the country. A look at that Sun Belt Conference Championship, the Colonial Championship. UNC Charlotte, a big 80-79 winner. So let's see, the 9 NCAA Tournament bids so far: Purdue, Cornell, Southwest Missouri State, NC-A&T, Southern, Tennessee at Chattanooga, UNC Charlotte. Fordham will fall by the wayside. LaSalle will go on. How will LaSalle do in the tournament? Because you and I know they're not very big up front.
I think a great deal depends on the seeding that they get, Jim. I think if they get a tough seed, they could have a problem because of their lack of size inside. If they run up against one of the real big teams in the country, then they could have some difficulty.
Interesting, in talking with a couple of the Explorers before the game, there are the tournament bids that we were talking about. Lionel Simmons said that LaSalle really needs this game to get into the tournament. The automatic bid goes with the victory, of course, but he felt that the NCAA Tournament Committee doesn't really know very much about the conference. So he said, if we don't win this game, we won't get in.
They started a little bit like they felt that. I thought LaSalle started the game a bit tight. Fordham jumped out to that lead. But once LaSalle got it going, there was no slowing them down.
Asked Speedy before the game what winning would mean to him, and he said he would be so happy for his seniors. Guys like Rich Tarr and, of course, Tim Legler. All that they've been through in their 4 years at LaSalle. Early celebration starting for the Explorers right now. Interesting, too, because Speedy told me before the game, he said, even if we lose this game, Jim, I still think we deserve a tournament bid. Well, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Well, that's really true. Deserving a tournament bid and getting a tournament bid are sometimes 2 very different things, and so he doesn't have to worry now whether he deserves it or not. They certainly do, but now they're in automatically.
Speedy was hoping that they would lose this game, that the committee would look at the games played, not the scores. 2 overtimes against St. Joe's and overtime against North Carolina. And now the bench will come in, and the seniors, Lionel Simmons, of course, he's got 2 more years left, the super sophomore, but Timmy Legler starts to celebrate.
It's a good thing they're having a celebration. Eric Lee over there trying to get in the game is having a tough time getting his warm-up trousers off.
Another senior, number 51, Ken Palzewski, 6'5" senior out of Colonial High School. And there's a happy bunch of Explorers for LaSalle. They'll go on. 32 seconds to go. Paterno again from three-point range. Paterno with 12 points on the night. Fordham still trying to claw their way back into it. Trail 78-67.
There's certainly not any quit in the Fordham Rams, but as we said before, they've taken so many three-point shots today. If you told the Fordham coaching staff before the game that this is how many three-point shots you were going to take, they would have told you right up front that that means they were going to be behind and they were going to lose the ball game because their game is inside, not from behind the three-point line.
High fives over on the Explorers sideline as Speedy talking to the reserves, as they say, who will mop up for the last 28 seconds, but they can say they got into the MAAC championship game.
Absolutely. See Lionel Simmons right now, right there. Now for Nick McCarchick and his Fordham Rams, they have 18 wins on the year. And with the 64-team NCAA tournament field, I think the Fordham Rams are hoping that those 18 wins will be enough to get them into the NIT.
The Rams, back in '84, played in the MAAC championship in the semifinals. They beat LaSalle 62-60 on a last-second jumper by Jerry Hobby. But, of course, that was before Nick Macharchik came. He was 10 years at Canisius with a great record. More wins there than any other coach in Canisius history, and an 18-14 record. And Fordham, he got him into the championship game in the MAAC conference, and he's got a great foundation. When you look down that bench, fellas like Danny O'Sullivan, just a sophomore, he'll be back. He loses Pedro, his long-range artillery bombardier.
Danny O'Sullivan, I think, is an interesting story. You can see the young man standing up right there. Barely played in high school, only played 100 minutes last year for Fordham, and has played over 800 minutes this year. If he continues to improve at the pace that he's already improved since he's been at Fordham, he could end up being a great player.
Number 12, Sam Rhines, the 6'2 freshman out of Abington High School. His dad, an assistant with Speedy along the way. Sister is the manager of the Lady LaSalle's basketball team, Donna. He's in the box score, as is Taylor from long range. That one off the iron, and it's pulled down by Ken Palzewski, the 6'5 senior. So Kenny got into the game. He's got a big smile after yanking down that rebound, and Speedy starts the celebration. There's Kenny.
And he's going to get an opportunity to score some points.
A 46% free throw shooter, 6 of 13 on the year.
Now see, you can see the other side of this basketball game.
When you've got two great coaches and some terrific young men, you know, it sounds trite to say it's too bad somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, but you played the game. You've been on the winning side and the losing side. There'll be another dawning.
Absolutely, and the emotion that you experience when you lose a basketball game, while vastly different, obviously, than that which you experience when you win a basketball game, is still a valuable thing to feel, I think. There isn't quite anything like it.
So just 3 seconds left to go. Speedy Morris from the Lady LaSalle's to the Men Explorers. Only one time in 20 years plus of coaching has he failed to win 20 games or more, and that was in his very first year when his first team won 19. A legend from Manayunk, Pennsylvania. Used to have a tavern down in Manayunk called Speedy Morris's Drop in the Bucket. Mark Taylor playing in his final game out of St. Joseph's High School. 9 points. Tipped up and good by Fred Herzog, the freshman. And that'll do it. Nick Macharchik, the first over to congratulate Speedy Morris, and they pour out of the stands. Speedy and his Explorers of LaSalle go on in the NCAA Tournament. Finishes up his record with a 23-9 so far. First team in MAAC history to go undefeated in the regular season and the conference tournament. 17-0. They were 14-0 in the MAAC. They beat Manhattan 62-51 and Holy Cross 88-64. Simmons and the rest of the Explorers will celebrate the final. LaSalle 79, Fordham 70. We'll come back and talk with Speedy Morris about this big victory in the NCAA tournament bid. Let's rejoin Bob Lee.
Well, finals, they went back in '68. Paul Westhead took them twice during the '70s. to the NCAAs. We'll be seeing Paul's Loyola team coming along at 11:30 Eastern Time, and Lefty Irvin took them in 80 and 83. It'll be the 8th trip. The LaSalle Explorers, congratulations. They have won the Metro Atlantic. Now, we mentioned Paul Westhead's Loyola, California team in the top of Jim Kelly.
Welcome back to the Brendan Byrne Arena here at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford. The celebration continues for the Explorers of LaSalle. They're in the NCAA Tournament. They win the MAAC Conference Championship, and of course they're 17-0. First time that's ever happened, the regular season and the tournament. Speedy Morris, I did a couple of your high school games. I was with you for the Lady Explorers. How does it feel? What's the emotion right now?
It's great, Cal. I'll tell you, the kids have done such a great job, and I can't say enough about them. They worked very, very hard. And when we were 9-9, we lost to some really good basketball teams, all of them away, and they just didn't get down. They said we can go out, we can win one at a time, and that's what they did. We're really proud of them.
I know you said you were happy for the seniors, but how about for yourself? 2 years ago, the Lady Explorers, now you're going up against the big boys.
Well, you know, I'm really happy for the seniors and the guys in the program, and you know, because we're always going to be here, hopefully, and we're going to win our share, I'm sure. And I'm happy for myself. I'm not trying to be humble or anything, but for Rich Tarr and Timmy Legler, who are graduating, giving so much to the school, Kenny Palzowski and Eric Lee, you know, these guys are great guys, and they deserve it.
The jacket came off earlier than the tie. I was wondering how far you were going to go.
They're a tough team. You know, same thing in high school. You get crazy, but you know, I just get emotionally involved with these guys, and I'm so proud of them.
Congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Thanks, Cal.
Good luck down the way.
Thank you.
Okay, Danny.
Thank you very much, Jim. We've got with us Rich Tarr. Rich, we understand you've been named the tournament MVP. Congratulations. Tell us how you feel.
Thank you. It's a great honor. I'm just glad I could help my team the way I did tonight. A lot of teams concentrate just on Lionel and Timmy and leave me open, and tonight I was fortunate enough to hit the shots.
Did you expect that Fordham would be doing that and that you would have to step up and play the big offensive role that you did?
I didn't really expect it, but a lot of the times it's there because, like I said, they concentrate on Timmy and Lionel, and tonight that's exactly what they did.
Now, both Timmy and Lionel had a tough first half, but Lionel really came on in the second half.
Lionel's a great player. He's a sophomore. He's probably the best sophomore in the country. It's just an honor to play with him, and he just did a great job in the second half.
How do you feel about your chances in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think our non-conference schedule has prepared us well for the NCAA tournaments. I think we can do work once we get in there.
Thank you very much, Rich. Congratulations again. Let's go back to Jim Kelly.
All right, there's the celebration. The net has been sliced down. Fordham falls to the LaSalle Explorers 79-70. That'll do it for here. For Dan Bonner, I'm Jim Kelly. There's more basketball to come. Let's go back to the studio and rejoin our host, Bob Lee.
More basketball, about 30 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll have the 10th team go in.
Going 9-9 to start the season. The Explorers have